morning, students. My name is Jenn Green, and I am the CEO and Brain Coach at Sphere Education. Welcome to the Junior Achievement Career Speaker Series. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, my career, kind of how I got to do what I do, and then I'll give you guys a little tips and tricks on how to start, begin, and work through your work and career journey. So let's get started with who I am. I was born in Minnesota, and I grew up here in South Denver. I went to Cherry Creek High School, and in high school I was really interested in band and swimming and student leadership. I did a lot of different things in high school, tried out different things to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, but I really was passionate about swimming. I actually swam for about 20 years, so from about the age of 3 until I was about 23, just out of college. I went to school, so when I was getting ready to graduate high school, had a great conversation with my mom about where to go to college and what to do when I was in college. And one of the things that we really agreed on was that I needed to get out of Denver and out of Colorado. So my mom kind of was like, you know what, I don't care where you go to college, but you're got to leave the state. So I actually ended up going to a small liberal arts college in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. It was called Henderson State University. And the reason I really liked it was because I had the opportunity to do a lot of different things, and obviously I got to experience a lot of different cultures and experiences that weren't normal of my, middle Denver upbringing. And then I also have 2 master's degrees, one in psychology and one in communication from Regis University right here in Denver. So a lot of people ask me, like, how did you get interested in mental health and psychology? Well, it actually kind of stemmed from my parents at first. Our family was going through some stuff when I was little, and both of my parents thought it would be really helpful to put me with a counselor. So I started seeing a counselor and actually have seen a counselor off and on my whole life. And my parents actually did a lot of sort of unofficial counseling. My mom was something called the Stephen Minister, which is sort of a coach counselor in a church setting. And my dad, with his job, actually did a lot of employee coaching because my dad was a CEO. And so he did a lot of employee counseling and work with the people that he worked with. So I was always interested in how that kind of worked for them. Additionally, when I was in high school, I stumbled upon something called neuro-linguistic programming. You're probably going, I have no idea what that is. That's okay. So basically, neuro-linguistic programming is how our brain takes in all the information that is coming at us all the time, how it puts words or the communication to what it's experiencing, and then how it interprets that into how we live and experience the world. And I was fascinated with it in high school. I started reading books on it, and I just couldn't get enough. I also was really interested in self-help, like how do people change their lives? Because we would read in high school and even college about how people have, they come from different backgrounds or something happens to them and they completely change their life. And I was just fascinated with that. And I think like most high school students, I also wanted to know why people did what they did and why people acted the way they acted. So I was really interested in all those different pieces. When I went to college, I actually developed a really cool interest in something called group dynamics. I was interested in when you put people together, either on a team, since I was swimming, or in band, because I also did band through college, why it is that certain people work really well together and how sometimes, and I'm sure some of you experience it, like when you have to do a group project, when you put people together, sometimes it's awesome and amazing and everybody comes together and gets all the work done and it's great. Sometimes, though, you end up on a team where either 1 or 2 people do everything or 1 or 2 people do nothing, and it doesn't work out really well. So I started to develop this fascination of how that works. How do people come together and work really well as a team? That actually led to my undergraduate degree, which is in business, and how do companies create culture? When you go work for a company, you have to kind of fit in with that company, or sometimes if you don't fit in, what happens is you'll end up disliking your job or leaving or getting fired because you're not working well inside the culture. So I actually really decided that that's kind of what I wanted to study when I was going through college, was like, how do companies create culture and how do teams work together? And then it kind of flowed over into how employees actually behave when they go to work for companies. So that's kind of how I ended up doing what I do. Is it really was how you, as you become an employee at a company, how do you start to behave? So then transitioning kind of into my career progression, I graduated from college and I got a job at locked-in companies, and they're an insurance broker. And I got a job doing employee benefits. And so what that is basically is your health and dental benefits that your parents have from their job. And I got this great opportunity to sort of do this and put together these packages, and I get to work with employees from all over the country, and I got to work with small companies and large companies, and it was just a really cool opportunity. But then I started to really get more and more into like the human resource aspect of it, like hiring and firing and doing like employee evaluations. But I was still doing all the employee benefits, but really helping sort of to work with companies on how their employees interacted with different aspects of the human resource structure. And then I actually ended up moving to Mercer. They are also an employee benefits firm, and I worked there for a little while. And then when I was about 25, I decided I kind of wanted to do this on my own. And so at 25, I started my own company and doing the same thing, and I did that for about 5 years. And then when I was 30, I had been approached by another company to buy my company, so I sold it. And I decided to take a break. Well, the break didn't last very long. I was unemployed or not employed for about 2 weeks, and I decided that I really needed just something else to do. So I went to a temp agency, and actually that ended up in a sort of a 3-year sort of trial run in real estate. And it was a lot of fun and I really liked it, but I ended up going back to human resources and employee benefits to do a little bit more of that work. But when I did that, I actually got more into the consulting firm and a little bit of coaching. I ended up working with a lot of employees who were either sick or had an employee or a family member who was sick and needed to learn how to use their benefits. So I started doing more and more education and more coaching. Well, there came this point in time where I was like, I really want to learn a little bit more about this coaching aspect. So I actually went back to graduate school and got my degree in psychology and my degree in communications. And I opened Sphere Education, which is where I am now, and really started coaching people. And so that's kind of how I ended up where I am. But I want to talk a little bit about, especially when you're in high school or junior high, and you're kind of thinking about what you want to do with your life. There are so many things that you can do and so many ways to get involved in different things. I want to talk a little bit about how I ended up here. One of the things that was really, I think, instrumental in getting me where I wanted to be or where I actually am was I did a ton of volunteering. Volunteering is one of those great things that you can do because it's not a job, it's just a volunteer, but you can learn a lot of different skills as you volunteer. When I was in high school, I actually volunteered for Habitat for Humanity for 3 years. So I know how to do all kinds of things. I can, put a toilet in, I can hang drywall, I can change out light sockets. All of those things were like really cool skills that I got to learn, and I got to learn it as a volunteer. And people took their time to teach me those things. So then as I kind of came into my 20s and 30s, I really started volunteering in different ways. I volunteered at my church, and I taught Sunday school. And then I was in a sorority in college, and then I'm still in my sorority. But I I started volunteering on the sorority on a national level, and then I ended up working with a local college in my sorority at that college. And that, I think, really started to promote more of this coaching that I was really interested in, because I got to work with people and women of all different ages. And then the university actually asked me to start maybe teaching a class here or there on employee benefits. And so I had this great opportunity to really try a bunch of different things. So really, one of the best ways, I think, to kind of get moving in your career, even as a young person, is start to volunteer in things that sound interesting to you. The other thing that really helped me get where I was going was my education. I always wanted to learn new things. And so if there was a class online or a seminar that I could take, especially when I was working, there were a lot of different things that I could do that helped at work that I could do and get moving forward and stuff like that. So it was really, really interesting to kind of take a bunch of classes and get a bunch of seminars. It really was helpful to kind of help me define what I wanted and where I wanted to go. And that leads right into the exploration. If I thought something was cool, I would go check it out. If I could find a class on it, or if I could read a book on it or watch a YouTube video, it's still actually how I do a lot of things. If I don't know how to do something, I will Google it, and then I will YouTube it and see if I can't figure it out. Because that, for me, is really about finding cool new things that I really like and am really interested in. And the last thing, and something I really hope you guys get, listen to your natural talents. We all have them. We have things that we are naturally good at. And one of the things, if you have something that you're naturally good at and you really like it, you're probably looking at your career. One of the things that my mom and I always tease each other about is we are naturally what people are drawn to. So if I'm sitting in an airport, I could be reading a book, or I could be, just sitting there kind of people watching. People are drawn to me. People come up and be like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. Or if I'm at a store, people, it doesn't matter if I'm dressed like the rest of the employees or not, people come up and go, do you know where something is? And so I really have sort of this helping mentality, and I think people pick up on that, like, oh, she can help me. And so that's really sort of how I ended up where I am. So what do I do exactly? So I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. You can call me a brain coach, because that's really what we do. You might have heard something like a life coach. But what we do at Sphere Education is we educate, equip, and empower people. So basically what I do and what my staff does is we teach people about their brains. We teach people about the neurology, biology, psychology, sociology of being human and why you do what you do. And then we equip people with really cool skills and talents and help them sort of move forward and understand why their life is the way they are. And then we empower them to change their entire life if they want. I train other coaches to do what I do. I also create a lot of curriculum. I do a lot. I'm coming to you guys from our video studio, and so we actually have the ability to create videos, and that's how we sort of get out our information. I also run the company, which is a lot of fun and a little overwhelming sometimes. I will give you guys that. And then I also work on the finance side and the human resource side and marketing, although I have people that help me with that. But that's kind of what we do. And our main program is something called brain ownership. Again, it goes back to the educate, equip, and empower. We teach people how their brains work, and then from there, we give them the tools they need to do what they want in life. So, to kind of give you guys some perspective on getting a job, keeping a job, doing that kind of thing, when you are going to get a job, a couple of different things I want to sort of help you understand, and from a human resource point of view, something I used to do is research and understand the company that you're trying to apply for. So like if you're applying to a company, understand what they do, understand the job, research what it is that you'll be doing and what they do. And then from there, once you've got the interview, ask some great questions. Sometimes I think people are a little afraid to ask questions because you think you're supposed to know everything. But inside an HR person, the person who's interviewing you, they want to know that you have questions for them, that you're interested in their company, that you want to know these things. A couple of great questions that are really sort of key for employers are, like, what does the team look like? And maybe ask to meet the team that you'd be working with. Remember, when you're in a job interview, they're not only interviewing you, but you're interviewing them, and you want to make sure that it's a good fit. And the other thing, the last piece of that, is to understand what you bring to the job and to the company. Understand where it is that you have these skills that they need, but also know what you want from them is, I'm really good at this, but I might need some training in this, and I'd really like some help with this. So those are pieces that you can really sort of do as you're coming to the job and getting your first job, or any job, actually. I'm going to sort of leave you with keeping and building a career. Always be willing to learn from everyone. And I don't say that sort of oddly, but one of the things that's really key, and this is a brain perspective, when you say, I know that, you shut down the learning aspect of your brain. So I work with a lot of, kids, and I have kids, and I'll say something and people go, I know that. Well, do you know that? The thing is when you say, I know that, you do shut down the learning part of your brain, and you may be missing out on something. So always be willing to learn from everyone. If you're a cashier at your local grocery store, and somebody says, do you know how to do that? Maybe it's like taking something or scanning something, and say, Susie showed me, but would you do it differently, or how do you do it? When you really engage your supervisor or another employee, they like that, because as humans, we like to show people what we know. So be willing to learn from everyone. The next one, get a mentor. Find somebody that's doing what you do or what you want to do, and ask them to mentor you, or just get them to engage with you. And once you're at a point where you can do that for somebody else, do that for someone else. Be a mentor. Because as we teach other people what we like to do, it actually starts to help us engage more, and we look great to the supervisor and our managers and bosses. The other thing is to look for ways to do better and to do more. One of the things that I know from an HR perspective is HR people are always looking for people who can do a little bit more. The supervisors, your managers, they're watching you all the time, whether you know it or not. They're looking to see who is excelling, who's looking for more things to do. And lastly, be adaptable. The only thing constant in life is change. And so if something comes up and they say, hey, can you do this? Be like, yeah, sure, no problem. I can totally do that. It's never above your pay grade to clean the bathrooms, because I do it at our office. And so you have to kind of be adaptable and get moving and ask questions and move around where you want. So those are kind of things to really help bring your career. One of the things that JA asked us to do is to kind of talk about a couple of different things, and I would call it sort of my uncommon sense. Everything changes. So the more adaptable you are, the better position you actually hold in getting promoted, getting opportunities to maybe take classes or get things that other employees maybe aren't as ready to do, as if a boss or a supervisor is seeing you be really adaptable to change. The other thing is you have to like what you do, or at least for the most part. I have to admit, one of the things I dislike the most as far as my job goes is sometimes the finance piece. Having to go through all of the financial pieces and stuff like that's just not my favorite thing. I'd rather be, creating a video or talking to a student. Those are the things that I like. So for the most part, your job has to be something that you like. This is going to sound a little weird, but do your job to keep your job. A lot of times what I see and what some HR people come to me and talk about, and it's also a mental health issue, is you need to be doing your job, but do your job. Do it well, because the better you do your job, the better you feel about who you are. And when you're doing your job, you are 100 more times likely to keep your job. And ask for help when you need it, and give help when it's asked. If somebody says, hey, can you help me with that? Be like, absolutely. Even if you have to finish something first, say, I got to finish this, but I'll absolutely help in and jump in and help you when I'm done. If you guys have any questions, I know there's probably a way to get a hold of us, but I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of walk you through kind of where we are and what we do, and we really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great day and good luck in your future careers.